Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Mayor and members of council, you're now reconvening out of closed session. You have one item on the agenda. There's a report on the agenda from the regarding CAO recruitment. The mayor has authored that report, and he will give you a précis of it now. And for the media and staff who are here, the report is about to be circulated.
So thank you all for attending this special meeting tonight. The purpose of the meeting and this report is in furtherance of my report to council dated July 13th, 2015, provided on behalf of the CEO Selection Committee. The purpose of this report is to update council on the work of the committee since that report, confirm that the committee has completed its process, and to make a recommendation to City Council for its approval. Since my report of July 13th, the committee met to review the candidate list compiled by Robert Johnston of Organizational Consulting. The consultant received responses from 80 interested candidates and divided those candidates into 3 lists for our consideration, which lists, generally speaking, range from most qualified, the A list, to least qualified, the C list. The A and B list of recommended candidates were reviewed and reduced to a short list of candidates for a first round of interviews. The interviews were completed with all committee members and the consultant present. The committee debriefed after each of the candidate interviews. The committee reduced the first round list to a shorter list and decided to proceed with second round interviews with selected candidates. In making its determination on the second round interviews, the committee relied upon the candidate performance during the first interview and the ideal candidate profile developed by the consultant through the consultative process, and it deliberated accordingly. Each of the candidates who were invited back for second round interviews were asked to participate in pre-employment testing through Ellis, Locke and Associates, which was arranged through the consultant. The testing, completed online, assessed each of the candidates on 3 grounds: ability, motivation and interests, and personality. A report on each of the candidates who completed the testing was provided to the committee prior to the second round interviews. The committee also had a conference call with Ellis, Locke and Associations, through which the committee reviewed the reports and were provided with the opportunity to ask any questions that related to the reports. The committee thereafter completed the second round of interviews. The committee deliberated after the second round of interviews on the candidates interviewed and the next steps in the process. As a result of those deliberations, the committee decided to undertake a further assessment of the background of one of the candidates to determine whether the committee would be satisfied with the candidate's background and reference checks, and if so, to determine if the committee could negotiate terms of employment with that candidate satisfactory to the committee and the candidate. As a result, the committee instructed the consultant to complete a CPIC, Canadian Police Information Centre search, and a credit check on the candidate. In addition, the committee also instructed the consultant to complete reference checks. The consultant interviewed 3 independent professional references and provided a report to the committee through my office. On behalf of the committee, I personally completed a 4th professional reference check directly. The CPIC report, credit checks, and 4 professional reference checks were all satisfactory to the committee. The committee, through my office, in accord with the parameters set by the committee, negotiated a fixed-term employment contract with the candidate on a basis that was satisfactory to the committee and to the candidate. The candidate that is being presented by the committee for recommendation to City Council, in accord with this process and the process outlined by my report of July 13th, is Albert Horseman. A summary of Mr. Horseman's experience is attached for your ease of reference. I'll summarize the experience in any event. Mr. Horseman completed the Queen's Executive Leadership Program at Queen's University. He has a Bachelor of Arts degree from the University of British Columbia, a Master of Arts in Administration, also from the University of British Columbia, and a Master of Environmental Studies from the University of Waterloo in Urban Geography and Transportation. He started his municipal career at the Toronto Transit Commission. After the Toronto Transit Commission, he moved to the City of Toronto as a senior manager in the Financial Planning Division. After that, he moved to the Ontario Ministry of Public Infrastructure Renewal as a senior policy advisor in municipal infrastructure. Moving from there, he became the Director, Senior Manager of Municipal Finance Policy for the provincial government. Shortly after that, he became the Vice President of Project Development at Infrastructure Ontario. He served as the Chief Administrative Officer of the City of Kawartha Lakes, and he's currently the Deputy Chief Administrative Officer of Infrastructure, Development, and Enterprise Services at the City of Guelph. I have, for the purposes of those watching at home and people available here tonight, I've reviewed the candidate with the committee and City Council in greater detail, and they've asked a number of questions. They're certainly privy to ask or welcome to ask any additional questions they might have here. I can tell the city at large that the committee members that I served on this committee with worked very hard. This was a very time-consuming process, but everybody committed to it very earnestly. I think the result speaks for itself. Mr. Horstman is an individual with significant municipal experience, both in municipal administration and in the provincial government. He's excited by the opportunity in Sault Ste. Marie and is committed to it. He will be employed on a fixed-term contract. The term is 4 years. That term was chosen so that we would get this council through the remainder of its term, leading into the next council's term. The contract can obviously be renewed at any point if it's so desired. I think it was a good process. I'm satisfied that we worked hard in the process, and I'm frankly satisfied that the result of the process speaks for itself. I'm happy to take any questions that you might have or any comments that you might have. Councillor Christian.
Mr. Mayor, first of all, I want to publicly thank the committee and yourself for the effort that you put into this. I've been through this process myself, and I know how difficult it is. It's very time-consuming, very labor-intensive, and hiring for a senior management position isn't like hiring for juniors, middle management. It's very, very time-consuming. I think when the public sees more of and digests Mr. Horstman's qualifications, they'll see that the committee was justified in its decision. Personally, I was very impressed with his qualifications, and I personally think that the city is going to be well served by this choice. I know I've had conversations with people in the past regarding issues like this, and the question always is, should we look locally in Sault Ste. Marie, or should we look outside? There's always a balance there, right? There's always pros and cons for doing both. But I think when you look at this gentleman's qualifications, he's bringing a wealth of experience to the position. He's bringing fresh eyes and an experienced mind to the position, and I think that's a real important combination. And I look forward to working alongside him, and I know that city staff will be looking forward to working with him. I see this as a great opportunity. It's a phase that we've come to. It's time for us to move forward. I've said this all along, that Sault Ste. Marie is in competition with every other community in the province, in Canada. If we want to move forward, we have to be a dynamic community, and I think this is just a step in the right direction. I think fresh eyes and a wealth of experience will lead the corporation forward. So congratulations to you and the committee, and also congratulations to Ms. Kenny, and thank you for your work while you sat in as interim CAO. Thank you.
And I should add that Councillor Nero contacted me yesterday, indicating he wouldn't be here today, and he asked me if I could call him and brief him on what would happen so he could have a sense of it. So I did that, and he sent me an email asking me to let council know that he was satisfied with the process and the result, and he supported it. Even though he can't be here to express that by way of a vote, he wanted me to let council know that. Councillor Myers.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As one of the 5 who was on the panel on the recruitment committee and vice chair who never had to exercise it because we have such a committed mayor, and I'm not saying this to in any way stroke the mayor, but I have to tell this community that we are so well served with this man, because he led us through a process that was very, very deep, and certainly I feel quite confident with the outcome. I know that I believe Mr. Horstman, through the advantage of technology, is watching this evening, so I want to take this opportunity, Al, to welcome you to Sault Ste. Marie, and thank you for how you've certainly stepped up as an excellent candidate for us. So there were 5 of us, 4 of us, 4 of us. 5 of us, 4 who are men, and myself. And I just want to say that I have great respect for the mayor and co-councilors who served on this. It was a challenging process because it's so important to our community, and I think that everyone did excellent work. It really was a privilege to be there. So I just hope that all of council will be supporting this, and I've asked the clerk for a recorded vote this evening, Mr. Mayor. And it's an important part of our history. So excited about moving forward, and really looking forward to all of us extending good Sault Ste. Marie hospitality to Mr. Horstman as he moves here. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Turco.
Thank you. I'll just be brief here. I too am encouraged, that's the word I've been thinking about the last few minutes, with this process, and I think it's a turning point for Sault Ste. Marie. And you mentioned about 80 applicants. Did you say that, or just?
Yeah, there were 80 applicants. The consultant received 80 interested applications.
And of those of all the 80, so did we get? Because these are some of the questions we're going to get.
Sure, absolutely. Ask away.
There's an A list, B list, C list?
Yeah, the consultant divided up into 3 different lists based on the qualification of the applicants and how the applicants met the profile. You'll recall that the consultant early in the process called a number of you and spoke to you about what you thought the city needed. The consultant also called a number of people within the community itself, canvassed some community leaders, and then the committee developed with the consultant an ideal candidate profile. The consultant used that ideal candidate profile and frankly the experience shown on the resume as the consultant created the A, B, and C lists.
And those lists, did we have, how far is this? I mentioned at one of the council meetings that the net should have been a little wider from previous applications and processes. How far did this net go?
I think it's fair to say we got applications from across the country. Councillors that served in the committee, that's accurate. You would agree with that?
And also locally we had some response as well, and those were reviewed as well.
We did. Oh, absolutely. We had response from throughout the province, our own community, and across the country.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions, councillors? Councillor Kompotich.
Thank you, Mayor Provenzano. Just a few comments there. I just want to thank the selection committee for all the hard work that they've done over the past few months. And in my opinion, I believe they have done a good job. I also want to mention about Nuala Kenny for taking the position of interim CAO and thank her for doing a job well done. And I expect the new CAO and City Council, along with staff, will grow into a positive and a healthy relationship. And it's all in our best interest to that an atmosphere of trust and respect and transparency continue to come between us. And I also want to congratulate Mr. Horstman, and I support the recommendation from Mayor and the Selection Committee.
Anything else, Council? Mr. Clerk, can you read the motion, please?
This is the recommendation of the CAO Selection Committee, a motion by Councillors Shoemaker and Myers. Resolved that Council approve and endorse the recommendation of the CAO Selection Committee that Albert Horstman be appointed as the Chief Administrative Officer of the City of Sault Ste. Marie, and that the City Solicitor be directed to draft the necessary bylaw giving effect to his appointment for ratification by Council at its meeting of September 14th, 2015. Council recorded vote has been requested. Councillor Turco? Councillor Sheehan? 4. Councillor Bruni?
4.
Councillor Christian?
4.
Councillor Hupinen?
4.
Councillor Romano?
4.
Councillor Shoemaker?
4.
As the Mayor indicated, Councillor Nero is absent. Councillor Krompotich?
4.
Councillor Myers?
4.
Councillor Fata?
4.
Councillor Butland?
4.
And Mayor Provenzano.
4.
Carries 12-0 unanimously.
So before we close off, we've had a couple of people acknowledge, Nuala, your work over the last few months. They stole my thunder, because I was going to do that too. But you're not done yet. So we're going to need you for another period of time here, and it's been great having you, and I'm sure you're not going anywhere. So, Council, thank you for that. That's a fantastic result. I appreciate your support, and I look forward to the coming years. Thank you.
Motion by Councillors Bruni and Myers, resolved that this council shall now adjourn.
All in favor? Thank you.